James Harden has officially been traded to the Brooklyn Nets, and guys, I've gotta say, one way or the other, this trade is going to break the NBA. I say this because while this trade certainly has a ton of uncertainty, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, this is also the type of trade that has the potential to alter the complete landscape of the NBA. I mean, as it stands right now, the Brooklyn Nets starting lineup is Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan. With that starting lineup, you have two former MVPs, you have an NBA champion, you have a former All-Star, and you have Joe Harris, who is a knockdown shooter. If we were playing NBA 2K21, this would undoubtedly be an NBA super team, but because this is real life, because we have things like egos to take into account, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be the most interesting team to follow for the rest of the season because I expect a ton of drama. I don't think that everything is going to go smoothly. I think there are certainly going to be some bumps in the road, but the question is, can the Nets get over those bumps? Can the Nets suffer through whatever drama hits them and rise above it and become NBA champions? Well, that is what we're going to talk about today. So what's up, guys? Mike here, and oh my god, James Harden is officially a Brooklyn Net. However, before we get into anything, I do want to say the goal in 2021 is to get to 2 million subscribers. So guys, if you are new to this channel or you're just not subscribed, please subscribe right now. All it takes is one click. It'll be much appreciated. I have so many quality NBA videos on the way. You're not going to want to miss a single one, so subscribe so that you never have to. Continuing on with the video. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been following the James Harden trade saga for a long time at this point because it has definitely been drawn out. For a decent amount of time at this point, James Harden has made it very, very clear to the Houston Rockets that he is wanted out, and now he is finally getting his wish. The thing is, at one point today, I did think that Harden was going to end up on the 76ers, and I did not think that was a great idea for the Sixers. Personally, I like what the 76ers have right now. I want to see what they can do with Ben Simmons and Embiid combined with guys like Seth Curry and Danny Green and of course Tobias. Remember, as it stands, yes, that team did have Jimmy Butler, but with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, the Raptors needed a buzzer beater to win in Game 7 of the playoffs just 2 seasons ago, and then that same Raptors team went on to win the NBA championship. So again, if I'm the 76ers, I'm running it back. I want to see what my team is capable of, at least in the short term, because with the Nets, there is certainly a high degree of risk reward here, because when it comes to the long term, Brooklyn sent away 3 unprotected first round picks, and then they have pick swaps going with the Rockets in 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. That means the Rockets could potentially have 7 of the Nets first round picks going forward until 2027. I mean, it's kind of obvious what the risk is here, because of course the question has to be asked, are these guys all going to buy in? Are these guys all going to be able to put their egos aside and play together and win a championship, or at least compete for one this season? Now again, as I said before, if this was an NBA 2K21 roster, the Nets would be absolutely unreal. With that said, the question that has to be asked is, can the Nets get 3 ball dominant stars to buy into the same system and play enough team basketball in order to become a winning team? Because when you build a super team, certain sacrifices have to be made. It is, at the end of the day, just that simple. Kyrie Irving is no longer playing on a team that is just his. James Harden is no longer playing on the Rockets that have been completely built around him for years. Both Kyrie and James Harden are going to get less shots. Both of them are going to get less possessions in general. The question is, are they going to be okay with that as long as the wins come in? Now, when it comes to Kyrie Irving, honestly, that is the biggest question mark in this trade to me. I mean, personally, this is a sensitive topic to me because I'm really not sure what is happening with Kyrie. We have certainly heard rumors that Kyrie does not like Steve Nash, that he's not happy with what's been happening with the Nets so far. Those rumors are out there, and if they're true, then that is certainly unsettling, because trading for James Harden is not going to suddenly make Kyrie love his head coach. And as we have seen in the past, when Kyrie doesn't get his own way, things tend to go sour there. Kyrie has been a bad teammate. There were reports when Kyrie was playing for the Cavaliers that during the playoffs, Kyrie would, quote, go consecutive days without speaking to a teammate at practice. Yes, you heard that right. Kyrie would go complete days without talking to any of his teammates because he felt he was slighted in his own head. If that is the Kyrie that is going to be playing with James Harden and Kevin Durant this season, I've got to say there's going to be some kind of problems, of course. However, like I said, this is a sensitive topic because I do not know what's going on in Kyrie's head right now. I don't know what he's struggling with in his personal life. I don't know if he's having some kind of personal problems, because honestly, this is unprecedented. When have we seen a player just completely go ghost his team and not really give an explanation as to why he's not playing. That really doesn't happen, so something has to be up there. Now, as for the James Harden fit here, I actually think James Harden and Kevin Durant are going to fit in pretty well. If you guys remember, there were a ton of reports that Kyrie, Harden, and Kevin Durant were actually training together this offseason. They wanted this trade to happen since the summer. They've been pushing for this trade to happen for a long time now. If Kevin Durant and James Harden did not think that they were going to be able to play together, then Kevin Durant would not have pushed this hard to get James Harden on his team. And when it comes down to it, guys, we have two MVP caliber talents on the same roster. That is absolutely huge. Right now, what we're looking at, assuming that Kyrie comes back and is completely committed to the team, is that in the playoffs, when their team needs a basket, the Nets are going to be able to give the ball to Kyrie, to James Harden, to Kevin Durant. All three of those guys are on any given night capable of being absolutely unstoppable. And the fact that all three of them are going to be able to share the court at the same time with a floor spacer in Joe Harris and a Lob City finisher in DeAndre Jordan is scary. When it comes down to it, if the Nets do this right, if these guys all buy in, then it's going to be hard for any team to ever stop them on offense. However, on the defensive end, that is where they're going to, of course, have some problems. I mean, listening to that starting lineup, Kevin Durant is a good defender, but when your backcourt is Kyrie Irving and James Harden, you can expect to get torched on the defensive end. That is going to be a major concern. We should not take that lightly at all. In the past, when we've had super teams like the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, all three of those teams were very good defensive teams. They were not nearly as offensive heavy as the Brooklyn Nets are. And so what I'm saying is that right now in 2021, don't be surprised if defense ultimately is the downfall of the Nets. Also, don't be surprised if the lack of bench depth is the downfall of the Nets. Because sure, right now the Nets do have an incredible starting lineup, but on the bench, well, I've got to say the bench is full of question marks. Of course, the Nets have the ultimate question mark in Jeff Green, possibly the most streaky player in NBA history, and they've also got guys like Landry Shamet, Tyler Johnson, TLC, Bruce Brown, guys that in the past have shown glimpses of being pretty good basketball players, but have all basically collectively been inconsistent. So again, the bench is going to be a major question mark. Definitely look for the Nets to make a play come buyout season to hopefully get more bench depth. Now, with all of that said, we do have to go into the ultimate risk here, and that is what happens if Kevin Durant and James Harden do not re-sign. Because again, the Nets could potentially owe the Rockets 7 first-round picks, the last of which will come in 2027. Now, if Durant and James Harden do re-sign, I don't think these picks are going to be as valuable as people are saying they're going to be, because just looking at ages here, let's say Kevin Durant and James Harden do re-sign. In 2025, Kevin Durant is going to be old, but he's only going to be 36 and James Harden is going to be 35. We have certainly seen MVP type caliber talent like Kevin Durant and James Harden play well at those ages, so it definitely would not surprise me if the Nets were at least still a playoff team at that point, which means at that point, yes, the Rockets will have gotten a lot of picks from the Nets, but as long as those picks stay out of the lottery, then the Nets are certainly making the right move here. Now, as for that last pick in 2027, yes, KD is going to be 38 years old and James Harden is going to be 37. I'm going to assume that that pick is going to be very valuable, but you know what? The Nets are going all in here. They have Kevin Durant on their team right now. They have Kyrie Irving. They had a chance to get an MVP caliber talent in James Harden, so they went out and took it, and if they win a championship, trust me, they are going to have absolutely no regrets at all. However, if things do blow up, if guys do not re-sign, if guys do get injured, if the Nets end up being a bad team, then it's going to be the same situation that happened with them and Boston just a few seasons ago. Let's say Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden do not mesh well and those guys do not re-sign. That would mean that the Rockets could potentially end up winning this trade by a lot long term, because no matter what, James Harden was going to leave anyway. They needed to trade him, and if they end up getting multiple top 5-ish picks, then yeah, they're going to get a lot of chances to draft another player who they could build their franchise around. And speaking of the Rockets, I know this video has been very Nets heavy, but let's talk about the Rockets for a second, because if you've been following NBA news today, you've seen that DeMarcus Cousins has been throwing some severe shade at James Harden. He's basically been completely calling him out and saying that James Harden has been not the best teammate since DeMarcus has joined the Houston Rockets. In fact, DeMarcus has basically said that James Harden has been a huge problem for the Rockets' chemistry, so the fact that the Rockets were able to replace James Harden with Victor Oladipo, a man who is a 2-time All-Star, who is still 28 years old and is averaging 20 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 4.2 assists this season, well, to me, that is a massive win, because again, when it comes to this trade, the Rockets are setting themselves up for potentially a huge long-term haul, but in the short term, this Rockets team is going to be better without the problem that James Harden was. Oladipo has seemed like he's wanted to leave the Pacers, so if things go well with Oladipo, Houston could very well re-sign him this offseason, and while of course Victor Oladipo is not a direct replacement for James Harden, at least the Rockets would be getting an all-star caliber talent back in return. And so there we have it, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you are new to this channel or you just aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. The goal is 2 million subscribers in 2021. Guys, subscribing would mean the world to me. I really want to hit that 2 million subscriber goal, and on your end, all you have to do is click a single button and it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.